Okay, welcome back all you infidels and kuffars, and this is the Ramosay show, just showing how stupid he is. So, I'll carry on. Ramosay, Muslims did not invent chemistry either. Alchemy is part of the mystical and mystery traditions of both East and West. In the West, it dates to ancient Egypt, where adepts first developed it as an early form of chemistry and metallurgy. Egyptians alchemists used their art to make alloys, dyes, perfumes and cosmetic jewellery, and to embalm the dead. The early Arabs made significant contributions to alchemy, such as by emphasising the mysticism of numbers, quantities and lengths of time for processes. The Arabs also gave us the term alchemy, from the Arabic term alchumia, which loosely translated means the Egyptian art. Muslims were not the first chemists. Right, absolutely not. So we'll go a bit further up. Okay, so also saying here that Muslims were not the first to invent a machine that could raise water. Right, Archimedes was a mathematician and inventor from ancient Greece. He discovered the relation between the surface and volume of a sphere and its circumscribing cylinder. He had discovered pi. He then formulated a hydrostatic principle based on that mathematical relationship called Archimedes' principle. He invented the Archimedes screw, a screw-shaped machine or hydraulic screw that raised water from a lower to a higher level. Archimedes invented the catapult, the lever, the compound pulley and the burning mirror, a system of mirrors that burned the boats of ships invading armies by focusing the sun's rays. Although Archimedes is credited with inventing the screw in the 3rd century BC, his screw was not like today's screw fastener, but actually 2 other screw type devices. Right. Muslims did not invent the first machine that could raise water. Archimedes did. Again, Muslims were not the first to invent torpedoes either. The torpedoes, we know it was invented in 1860 by Captain Giovanni Lupis, also known as Ivan Blas Lupis, in the city of Rijeka, which is in Croatia, then part of the former Austria-Hungary. It was first shown to the public in 1860. In 1866 he demonstrated his work together with Robert Whitehead. The first torpedo factory was built in Rijeka. Muslims were not the first to bring what you loosely describe as characteristic architecture. Architecture itself predates Islam by thousands of years. You can go back to Hiram of Tyre, to the actual building of the very first Jewish temple, Solomon, everything, right, points to the fact that Muslims didn't bring architecture to the forefront of civilization. The Babylonians, the Assyrians, the Jews, everyone, the Phoenicians, everyone had architects during those times. This is nothing new. Muslims incorporated it into their civilization and then give it divine revelation by saying, oh, aren't we great bloody architects? Well, this is stupid, Ramosay. I can't believe how idiotic you can be. But I'll carry on. Right, I also say that fountains were not an invention of Muslims either. Indeed, you'll find that fountains were common in ancient pagan Rome. You'll find that gardening is not a Muslim invention either. For God's sake, how is gardening a Muslim invention? You'll find that Muslims did not discover vaccination. Edward Jenner, an English physician, discovered vaccination. And Muslims did not invent the fountain pen. It was I'm not very good at his pronunciation here. It's Petrache Ponaru, 1799-1875. He was famous. He was a famous Romanian inventor. Romanian. Muslims did not invent algebra. The word algebra itself comes from a book called Kitab al-Jabra al-Muqabla, translated circulation by way of restoration, and confrontation or calculation by completion and balance, written by Persian mathematician Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi. I'm not, again, my pronunciation is not going to be very good there, but that was approximately in the year 820 AD. However, this was not the first written record of algebraic concepts or manipulation. Ancient Egyptians, Babylonians, Indians, Chinese, among others, have written records further developing the basic human reasoning skill into a structured yet creative art form. So Muslims did not design or bring algebra to civilization. It was already there. Right. Muslims were not the first to create glass either. No one knows exactly when or where glass was first made. Glass appears to have been produced as far back as the 2nd millennium BC by the Egyptians and perhaps the Phoenicians. Yet evidently it originated in Mesopotamia, where pieces of well-made glass have been found, believed to date from the 3rd millennium BC. Glass was a lot less common back then as it is today. It was very precious, and in the Bible glass has been compared to gold. The art of glass making evidently reached Egypt. The Egyptians used a method called core forming. A shaped core was made of clay and dung, and molten glass was wrapped around it and shaped by rolling it on a smooth surface. Right? I'll go on further. Muslims did not invent the carpet. Carpets were probably made by the nomadic peoples who cover the eastern floor in their tents. It is not certain, however, if the Egyptians, the Chinese, or even the Mayas first invented carpet making. It is quite possible that many peoples, none of whom were in contact with each other, began to make carpets at about the same time. We can be certain, however, that by the 5th century BC, carpet making had reached a high artistic level. This was proven by the Russian archaeologist Rudenko and Grizanov, who in 1949 discovered the oldest known knotted carpet in the Pazyk Valley, about 5,000 feet up on the Altai Mountains in Siberia. The Pazyk carpet is of rare beauty and woven with great technical skill. It was found preserved in frozen tombs of Scythian chiefs, which were 2,400 to 2,500 years old. Throughout history, Persia has remained the epicentre of carpet making craft, where it has developed into an art form. Again, this predates Islam. Right? You didn't invent the cash cheque either, because ancient Romans did. They actually invented an early form of cheque known as prescriptions in the 1st century BC. Right? And you did not discover that the world was round, because nobody is sure who first deduced that the world was round. It's most likely that it was done by observing the Earth's shadow on the moon during a lunar eclipse. Aristotle, 384 to 322 BC, said that it was common knowledge, at least among the learned, so it's been known for at least 2,500 years. And Muslims did not create the first rocket. It was done by Robert H. Goddard in 1926. It was the first liquid-propelled rocket. So Ramosay, you keep lying, don't you? You're bloody stupid. Get an education.